Hey everybody, welcome back to the Weekly Static. My name is Ray Flook, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool, and if you're new to here, let me tell you what this is about. What I do is every week on Friday, after consulting with the rest of the Weekly Static crew, which is Trejo, Bat-Murr, Rocky, and Margot Staten, we come up with 5 topics from the past week of Bleeding Cool's television coverage that have like little pieces and aspects of it that we're really interested in. Theme topics that may have to do with the article, that may extend beyond the article, whatever, hits our whimsy. Hits our whimsy. Is that an expression, by the way? Oh, on a side note, did I do that weird thing where I was still looking down for like 2 seconds before I started? Because I'm still trying to work on that. I know people have told me that's called editing, but yeah, I'm still work in progress. But anywho, we look at 5 things that have kind of piqued our interest from the past week, and we have 5 very interesting topics going on this week. We are looking at Martin Freeman in Sherlock. We are looking at Family Guy and Stewie. We are looking at Daniel Bryan's return to the WWE. The fact that Hallmark is threatening us with 34 Christmas movies, and Rick and Morty and an update on season 4. So without further ado, we do this in a top 5 setup similar to my spirit animal John Cusack from the great movie High Fidelity. Again, if you are not a John Cusack fan, you need to. It is required. You need to see High Fidelity. You need to see Grosse Pointe Blank. You need to see Better Off Dead, and you need to see One Crazy Summer. I'll wait. Actually, I'm not gonna wait because that would be like 2, 4, 6, 8. So maybe something like 8 hours. So we're not gonna wait. But you do it on your own time. Don't waste my time. So, top 5, starting at number 5, in no particular order. Martin Freeman and Sherlock, who said in an interview that because of all the buildup and expectation and everything like that for the seasons of Sherlock, that it's no longer fun for him, that the fans are asking too much and everything else. Essentially, he's suffering from what I call George R.R. Martin whining syndrome. And what that essentially means is, oh, woe is us. Fans expect a lot from us when we allow large stretches of time in between seasons or in between books or things like that. Yeah, it's called... The fans have a personal emotional investment in your art and what you're doing. No one is saying that you shouldn't have the right to take your time and do what you need to do. But after a while, I mean, do you want them to not care? Because that's always the other thing. It's like, there's never going to be like that middle level. They're fans, short of fanatic. They're going to love your stuff, and the fact they want more of it is never a bad thing. But this idea somehow... Martin, as you've got movies coming out, you've got television series and limited series coming out, things like that. The fact that people get a little antsy that there's going to be 27 years between Sherlock seasons, I don't think is asking a whole hell of a lot. So I'm sad to hear that he's not finding it fun anymore, but I'm sure the fans aren't finding it particularly funny having to wait again, having to pass on Sherlock to generations as the seasons roll along. So again, I think important we look at both sides of the equation on that one. So that was number 5. Number 4. Take a look at Family Guy, the 301st episode, which had Stewie going to see a counselor voiced by Ian McKellen after he pushes a classmate down the stairs. Now, there's going to be major spoilers here, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds. Okay, I'm starting those with a couple seconds. At the end of the episode, before we even get to the end of the episode, we find out a lot of interesting things about Stewie that I think was a bold move for the character moving forward, especially after all this time. We get to hear his real voice, and we find out that the British accent was all just a ruse the entire time. We also get to find out exactly how concerned Stewie is with always being an individual and not being forgotten and not being looked at and just being part of the regular crowd. And throughout the episode, he opens up a lot to the therapist. What's interesting is that at the very end, when the therapist is having a heart attack based on the heart condition, and Stewie refuses to give him his medication and essentially watches the therapist die because Stewie can't have somebody knowing this much about him. And it's the ending where he's laying in bed with Bryan and he can't sleep, and we see the toll weighing on him. This isn't typical Stewie we've seen in the past trying to kill Lois, or all these really grandiose plans that were so huge that we never acknowledged them. We just kind of laughed them off and moved on. This is an instance of reality. There's an instance where he plays off the idea that this isn't going to haunt him, that he'll just be able to move on from it. But we see that he will. And even though the writers and the producers have said this may not be something that's directly addressed on the show, I think it should be. And I think it's a very interesting thing to address because I found it very effective. I found it very disturbing. I didn't think anything would be better than the Stewie and Bryan locked in the bank vault episode, which I thought covered a lot of ground. But this one was intense and it was insane. And that ending, I was ready for some VR thing to kind of write it off, but it didn't. I was really surprised by it. That was a worthy episode. So that was number 4. Number 3, Daniel Bryan. Yes. Yes. What more could be said? The speech he gave, the idea that after 2 years, your dream. I got to straighten my shirt out because Pizza Cat can't be crimpled. Okay, checking myself out in the monitor. But you had all those times away from the limelight, having to be the general manager, having to sit on the sidelines, having to, even though I'm sure done amicably, seeing the Miz doing your moves. Now getting the medical clearance to be able to go back in the ring, I can't even imagine what that's got to be like for Daniel Bryan. I loved what WWE did by having him get just crushed at the end of the SmackDown episode, because it's going to build up a great WrestleMania tag match with him and Shane versus Kevin and Sammy. Though I got to be honest with you, I think it'd be fascinating as hell if you had Daniel Bryan turn on Shane McMahon and you start a little stable where Daniel, Kevin, and Sammy. That could be very, very interesting. But great to see Daniel Bryan back in the ring. That was an amazing speech he gave in the beginning of SmackDown. And again, kudos to him. I'm looking forward to seeing him back wrestling in Madison Square Garden. I think that would be awesome. So that's number 3. Number 2, Hallmark. I'm gonna get down and dirty on this one. Hallmark announced, or I'm gonna say threatened us with 34 new Christmas movies this year. On top of, I know there were a couple other networks that have announced like dozen or more Christmas movies. Okay. We already start promoting Christmas in May. It's just moving up a month earlier every year. We show no love to the greatest holiday all year round, and that's Halloween, but I don't even want to get into that. But it's like, folks, enough. We don't need to have enough Christmas movies so that there's one every 3 hours of every day, 365 days a year. We don't. And again, I'm going to say with all due respect to Hallmark, 34 movies, you only essentially use 6 basic themes. Are you essentially going to be doing 6 movies per theme that you have on your network? Because 34 movies, I'm telling you, that's going to be a lot of instances of the big city person who goes home and falls in love with the person they used to go to high school with, and blah 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 blah, and confusion and Home Alone ripoffs and everything like that. So Hallmark, yeah, seriously, stop. You're representing everybody. You're all starting to make me hate Christmas. It's bad enough you try to shove It's a Wonderful Life down my throat, and that's a nightmare on a whole other level. So, hey, Hallmark, I give you credit. At least I appreciate the warning. So you did that for me. Number 1, Rick and Morty. And again, it's the ongoing saga Rick and Morty, because, and I want to be honest, I originally went into this with the understanding that, like, kind of like Metalocalypse and Adventure Brothers, that Adult Swim tends to play fast and loose when they announce their when something is going to get renewed. In this instance, it's the back and forth that's becoming a little problematic, because I was under the assumption that, okay, Adult Swim's not going to renew officially for season 4 until they see some work being done, and, you know, Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, not exactly the most timely people when it comes to getting episodes together. But now that you've got Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland pushing back and saying, we're ready to roll just as soon as the suits get their stuff together and get the contract negotiations going. And it doesn't seem like it's aimed so much at Adult Swim or even Cartoon Network. It seems like it's aimed more at Turner Broadcasting System, which is the parent company that owns a whole bunch of networks. So I'm wondering where it's coming from. I mean, do I think there's any doubt that there's going to be a season 4? No, I don't. Like I said in a previous article, all you need to do is go in a Hot Topic and you see how much merchandising there and you see how much money there is to be made. So, but it's a little concerning because I think the longer this takes, and the fact that, quote, if there is seriously no work being done, then you kind of have to wonder at this point what, I don't know, June 2019? Fall 2019 before we'd be able to see a new episode, unless again there's some stealth stuff that's been going on, and Dan Harmon, I always remember saying before that some stuff that was left over in previous seasons are going to help making the season 4 episodes go a lot quicker. I'm hoping that's what I'm holding out for, but as of right now, it looks like you got a little bit of squanchy contract negotiation going on between Turner and the good creative people at Rick and Morty, so we will stay tuned, but I'm hoping that we see something new from Rick and Morty, at least in the first quarter of 2019. So, thank you guys for joining me. Those are our top 5. This is the Weekly Static. This is our Season 1 32nd edition, believe it or not. Also, I want to give you the heads up now. We're going to have advertising and promotion going out for it this weekend. But Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the perfect storm of pop culture explosion. We've got social issues, politics, and pop culture areas like 60 Minutes and porn. We are going to be live blogging the Stormy Daniels 60 Minutes interview Sunday night, so please make sure to join us. We'll have information going up on that this week. But again, thank you guys for joining me. It is Friday. My name is Ray Fluck, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of this day. Hope to see you online this weekend on bleedingcool.com, and I will see you guys there, and have a great one. Much, much appreciated, folks. Take care.